$600 stimulus checks are going out, and the money could be showing up soon in your bank account. Brian Malahy asking questions about how this money is going to impact people in Utah. And Brian, you talked to some people today. What are they saying about this stimulus money?
One in particular who said it's helpful, it's better than nothing, but it doesn't appear to be having a great effect in terms of victory laps over $600.
A growing number of Democrats are now warning the Federal Reserve of a recession in the United States. The Biden administration is looking for a new plan to avoid a recession, and direct deposit payments are also arriving in millions of bank accounts this very week. So folks, the Federal Reserve is most likely going to raise interest rates by 3/4 of a percentage point again. This is the fourth hike that we've ever seen, and it's still possible another rate increase of that magnitude could come in December. But for the big questions is, many investors and American consumers need to find out whether the Fed will send the money into people's bank accounts and whether or not this will cause a recession with these massive rate increases. There are also hopes that any downturn will be mild. However, this is uncharted territory for the Fed. The former central bank chairs and the Treasury Secretary never had to raise rates this many times in a row by such large amounts, so it's unclear what this will do to the economy. The housing market is already starting to show signs of strain, and mortgage rates have also skyrocketed this year as a result. There's also a growing number of Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are warning Federal Chair Jerome Powell and other Fed members to slow down the rate hikes because they fear even tighter monetary policy will lead to recession, folks. But as long as the jobs market remains healthy, the Fed is probably going to continue to focus solely on its price stability mandate and ignore all that stuff about maximum employment. And the solid rebound in gross domestic product in the third quarter, following the 2 straight quarters of economic contraction, may also quiet some worries on recession. It could prompt the Fed to continue its aggressive rate hiking stance, even if such a policy risk causing recession down the road. The worry is that the Fed may be choosing to look more at current economic data and is not thinking about the lag effect that it has on existing rate hikes. Economists are also forecasting a slowdown in job growth, but not a substantial one. According to estimates, experts predict that 200,000 jobs were added in October, down from job gains of 263,000 in September. The unemployment rate, which fell to 3.5% in September, is expected to have ticked up to 3.6% this month, but it's still near a half-a-century low. Even if the pace of hiring is starting to slow, it's clear the labor market remains tight, and wages have grown at an above-average price as well. No, however, not as fast as inflation. Folks, don't forget about this. The government said in the September jobs report that the average hourly earnings rose 5% in the past 12 months. Fed typically prefers to see wage growth in the 2% to 3% range as a sign that inflation is under control. And so more of a dramatic slowdown in wage growth seems unlikely as the job market just remains robust and consumer prices just keep rising. And if you're still waiting for a California stimulus check, you might not have to wait much longer. While the state's checks sent out direct deposit payments from October to December and debit cards are starting to go out in the beginning of this month, there are still a lot of Californians waiting for the refund to be deposited into their bank. However, these people actually won't have to wait much longer. California did start to sick amount of payments of at least more stimulus checks that went out earlier last month as well. And the one-time California stimulus check of $200 to $1,000 is all depending on your filing status and the income reported on your tax return. So if you're expecting a payment via direct deposit, you may want to start checking your bank account again each day. Even if it has arrived already, you will only qualify for a direct deposit payment. It should show up in your bank account by mid-November, and if you file your 2020 California tax return electronically and receive the California tax refund by direct deposit, then you'll generally receive your stimulus payment by direct deposit. You can also expect direct deposit payment if you previously received a Golden State stimulus check or earlier this year received that payment in your bank account. But folks, what we know for sure is that President Biden has to do something for the American people and send out stimulus payments before it's too late. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments.
Now, let's take a look at our Republican friends. Do you know what their number one priority is? Not a joke. The interesting thing about these guys, they're accidentally being honest. Because they're just saying it out loud what they're for. You know, they want to get rid of everything we just did. The power we just gave Medicare to negotiate lower prescription drug prices, gone. $2,000 cap on prescription drugs if they take back the count, gone. $35 a month cap on insulin, gone. Tax credits for lower energy costs, gone. 50% corporate minimum tax, gone. $800 saving on health care premiums we just got for families in the Affordable Care Act, gone. In fact, these guys still want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act altogether. And you know what that means? It means that millions and millions of Americans who only have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition because it exists, that Affordable Care Act is gone. No matter how hard they try to get rid of Obamacare, I ain't going to let it happen. And folks,
big progress is finally being made in Congress. Over 200 members in Congress are urging House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to pass a new bill immediately. Democrats are also joining and pushing for a new way to provide inflation relief. So watch until the end to learn how to receive your stimulus checks, everybody. Americans are looking for ways to help in the form of stimulus checks to fight the high gas prices and food prices. For some, state governments are offering special tax rebates. Many states have already passed legislation that will send money to citizens. Delaware officials said that they are planning to send $300 in direct payments to taxpayers in the state. It has been announced that the payments are part of the state's plan for using $1 billion surplus at a time when inflation is rising and gas prices are high. Lawmakers said they will introduce legislation within a week. A vote could happen next month. Officials say more than 600,000 Delaware residents are likely to receive these payments, which will cost $186 million. This new relief is not confirmed yet, everybody. And it has been confirmed that each Delaware taxpayer who filed a 2020 state tax return should have gotten a relief rebate of $300 beginning. Residents who have not filed a 2020 state tax return are eligible for the rebate. However, according to Forbes, instructions are anticipated to be announced by October 17th. You can also check your rebate status with the Delaware Department of Finance. There have been tax rebates sent out to citizens in the state of Idaho, United States, with these being issued to those individuals who are four-year Idaho residents for 2020 and 2021. Now, it is expected there will be roughly 25,000 rebate payments that go out on a weekly basis, as the tax refunds are already being sent out to eligible residents. By the end of 2022, the Tax Commission expects to have issued more than 800,000 tax rebates for a combined sum of up to $350 million. Now, staffers wrote to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They stated, "We have crafted a legislation necessary to avert climate catastrophe. It's time for you to pass this. Our country is nearing the end of a 2-year window that represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to pass some transformative climate policy. The climate and energy portion has remained the largest sticking point in negotiations. As Manchin has publicly stated, he wants to lower gas prices by increasing U.S. energy production. If you're going to have gas prices lower, produce energy, period," Manchin told reporters as he left the Senate vote. But for Democratic congressional staffers, passing more massive investments in clean energy tax credits to deal with the climate crisis is especially urgent. The letter also discusses about young staffers' fear of what will happen next if Democrats don't act to pass climate and energy measures.
20 years and reaching the age of 50. They pay a greater percentage of their salaries into this retirement system.